And now all of a sudden you tell them to go and buy something and they buy it.
For those of you who don't know me, I started as an editor, like as a freelance editor.
Being really good at storytelling and learning how to write stories, I think, is another super important thing for unaware ads.
One of the biggest pain points right now in eCom.
Now you're not competing with just ads. You're competing with everybody making content on the internet. When you're watching a Mr.Beast video, you're just locked in. You know, it's like, how I already watched 15 minutes of this, right?
When it comes to editing, what matters the most is who you're editing it for.
How important is a video editor if you're an e-commerce brand owner or you're a marketer trying to advertise on Facebook? Like, can you just get away with a crappy video editor?
Everyone needs an editor right now online, okay? But it's extremely hard to come by editors who actually understand marketing, who actually understand how to make videos that sell stuff and not just look pretty.
You go see the doctor, you don't ask him for his degree, as long as he's wearing a white coat, like, you're good.
That's not how that works, okay?
If you're doing a task, your phone, like, literally throw it out your window. Dude, we've seen, what, hook rates of like 70%? What's up, man?
Yeah, nothing much. Thanks for having me.
Grinding on a Saturday, I kept you up late.
Yeah, pretty much. Saturday, 6 p.m., recording a podcast with Spencer. That's the life, man.
I'm sorry. Karlo's fiance hates me.
Yep, pretty much.
We're gonna go into something today that I think a lot of people... I made a tweet randomly. We should probably throw this up on the screen. That I said the easiest way to legally print money in 2025 is unaware ads. And that got 120,000 impressions. And I think a lot of people, as a result of that, were asking, what are unaware ads? They're also, I think most people would know them as like mini VSLs, I would say. That's kind of probably what they are, right?
Yeah.
But it's something that we stumbled into. I don't even really know how. Maybe we could talk more about how we got into it. I think what ended up happening was we more or less studied, because unaware comes from the stages of awareness, speaking of breakthrough advertising, where you have the levels, right, from most aware, product aware, solution aware, problem aware, and then unaware. And unaware is like obviously where most of the market is. Although some people have problems. At the end of the day, like, unaware is still, you take somebody that has no idea of what they're doing and ultimately get them to buy. But I'm thinking of like how we even got into it. I honestly don't know. I think it was just something that we tried to start pushing because it made sense logically that it could be scalable. But that has been basically a result of everything that you've been doing. So I figured if I was going to make a video or talk about unaware ads or do something, I might as well bring Mr. Unaware on himself. So I guess just to kind of first ask you, brother, like, what, from what you've seen or what you know, like, what actually are unaware ads? I know I talked a little bit about, but what are unaware ads to you? Like, what is that?
Unaware ads, like, very simply put, are, so like, let's kind of talk about what happens when someone sees an unaware ad on their feed. So they see a video, like, usually it's a video because, like, it's like you can do unaware static ads, but like it's extremely hard. And before I start talking about kind of anything when it comes to unaware ads, I want to say first that is extremely hard to do. So like doing unaware ads and like actually making profitable and unaware ads that are able to scale the ad account is extremely hard. It is like the hardest thing to do in advertising and marketing space in e-com, okay? Simply because, like you said, you have different kind of market awareness stages. You have most aware, which is just like people, like brands comparing on price. So like people are aware of a product, they just want to kind of get it at the lowest price. Then you have, so you have product, so most aware, product aware, that's pretty much the same thing. You have solution aware, people kind of who are aware of different products, different solutions to the same problem, and you just need to convince them that yours is the best. Problem aware, they're aware of the problem, they don't know how to solve it. And then you have unaware, which are people who don't even know they have a problem. Okay, and your job when you're making unaware ads is to make an ad that basically takes someone who's just like randomly scrolling through their feeds, randomly scrolling Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. They see your video, they get absolutely hooked in, they're locked in watching it, and you basically, through storytelling and through messaging you have on your ad, you get them to believe they have a problem, because first you need to convince them they have a problem. You need to first educate them that the problem exists. Then you need to explain how bad it is, that it's actually bad for them, why it's bad for them. Then talk about different solutions, why yours is the best, and you basically take them through this kind of awareness funnel of being an unaware to then being product aware and buying your product. And basically the end goal of unaware ads is taking someone who doesn't know anything about the problem, your brand or the product or anything, and getting them to buy. So that's kind of the end goal of unaware ads.
Yeah, and I think something I want to add to that, because what a lot of like what we've seen recently is like this can sometimes get like slightly unethical, which is why I think some people think they're like a little shady, where it's like you almost in a way can create a problem for a person. But as long as you're doing that in an ethical way, then it's like I don't think there's, I mean, it's not that I don't think, I mean, there really isn't anything wrong with that, right? For example, you know, this is, like you said, it's the hardest thing to do, is to create a true unaware ad, because a lot of people think like they mix unaware and problem aware, and they think they're going unaware, but they're not. Whereas, for example, like one of my favorite unaware ads that we've made, and I want to talk about like your process of how you actually make them, is we started off an ad saying like, in 1930 or whatever it was, a Chinese running team legally cheated to win. In the, I don't think it was the Olympics, but like legally cheated. Like that was the hook. It's like that has absolutely nothing to do. Like if you do the product, actually it doesn't even matter, because it's like it's not even like a supplement that we're selling here. It's not like a running supplement or something like that. Like it has nothing to do with Chinese running teams cheating, right?
It has nothing to do with running, which is crazy.
Absolutely, literally, it's not even close. And so like that is, and when you speak of skill set of like how to be able to go from, okay, like sometimes when you listen to me or watch my videos, sometimes I take a point, like I start here, you know, this is the straight line, and like Spencer's over here, like he's off the screen, and somehow you got to bring that all the way back. Like that's kind of what you're doing in unaware ads. So like that is an example of a true like unaware ad, where it literally is just, I don't want to say brain rot, but it's like, it's just one of those things that it's anybody can watch that. Like literally anyone can watch that. Whereas like some people might start thinking their ads are unaware, where it's like, oh, have you ever felt like a little itch in your foot when you're running? It's like, that's still like, you know, like that's basically problem aware, right? It's not true unaware. Like anyone can watch this idea of, it's almost kind of like and we'll get into it. So I mean, speaking of that, like what is if someone wanted to try to start making unaware ads, they're now maybe all excited about this new mechanism. How do you make them? Like, do you have some? Obviously, that's a huge question because there's so much that goes into it. But maybe if you want to talk about some of like the research that you do, maybe if we want to then bridge that into scripting or like the editing or how you go about this, like if you can try to maybe lay out some of the processes, how does one go about trying to make unaware ads?
That's one hell of a question. But yeah,
give me the sauce.
Yeah. So to make unaware ads, first you obviously need to have a very, very good understanding of market awareness stages, what they are, how they work. So like that's kind of the foundation, like the step one, just like study. You need to study, bro. So like that's step one. Step two would probably be something that I like to call out all the time when I'm talking to people in eCom, is you should be the most knowledgeable guy in your niche. So let's say you're selling, I don't know, you're selling headphones. Okay, you need to be obsessed with headphones. You need to be obsessed with like what are all the headphone types out there? What are kind of like products out there? Who are you competing against? What are your product features, product benefits? Like who are your customers? Like how do they talk? How do they behave on the internet? Which like what type of content do they consume? And you need to be obsessed with your market, with your niche. This is one thing that a lot of guys in ecom overlook, and they overlook it very easily. And like they get in a niche, and I don't know, they want to sell supplements, okay, and they pick a product. Okay, I'm selling this product, and they don't even do any type of research on it. They don't even like bother to take 1 hour, 2 hours, like, you know, actually try to figure out, okay, what am I actually selling here, and who can this be beneficial for? Okay, so like number one tip that you should start with is research. And I know like this has been like talked about like in the recent kind of months a lot. Like you need to do research, you need to do this, you need to do that. But like that truly is the number one thing that you should be doing, is like just being obsessive over what you're selling and who are you selling it to. And your goal should be to become the most knowledgeable guy in that niche. Okay, so my goal whenever we take a client, my goal is is to become like, yeah, just like obsessive over the product, over the brand, over the market, over the niche, so that anyone who comes up against me, anyone who comes up against us, stands no chance, because everyone on our team is so locked in, is so dialed in, is so educated, is so deep on research. Everyone. So like whoever is leading the strategy, the copywriter, the editors, the designers, everyone is locked in on research. Okay, this is kind of the step one that we do. And for example, some like practical stuff that we do, because I don't want to just like say, do research. We need to spill some sauce. So basically, the way we do research right now is we use Claude, we use Brave MCP. So if you're not familiar with MCPs, no kind of research model context protocols. We basically you can give access to Claude to do research, and we don't just use like the built-in web search thing. We kind of turn that off and use Brave MCP instead, because it gives like a lot better results. We have kind of very, very detailed prompts, and I'm talking like 15-page like Google Doc prompts that then tell Claude Brave MCP to go on the internet and do research and like give us like a huge document on the market, on the customers, on their behaviors, like psychographic analysis, what type of content do they consume, like what's their beliefs, what are some like problems they have, what are some desires they have. And this kind of gives us a high level overview of what's going on. And a good thing with Brave MCP is that it actually goes on the internet. So like you have Brave installed locally on your Mac, on your PC, whatever, and then it uses your browser to search the internet. And then it can give you links within that report. So like we kind of tell it in the prompt to go on Reddit and like search Reddit threads, and then give us links so we can look for it ourselves later on. So like that's one thing that we do. And that's honestly like done like we just like we kind of build a system. We paste the brand link, like the brand like website, and then it kind of does this thing. It takes like, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever. And then we get this report back. So that's step one. Step two is then a part that a lot of people overlook, which is actually studying that. So like actually studying that. I know I was talking to Spencer I think a few weeks ago, and I said like so we got this market research document, and I was like our kind of CRO guy at the agency, Adam, shout out Adam, he kind of introduced us to it's called Notebook LM, and you can basically put a document in there and get a podcast. So like it generates an AI podcast of like multiple people talking about the document. Okay. And so it's insane. Like it's very good. And like one night before I went to sleep, I was like, I couldn't sleep. It just happens to me. And I was like, fuck, what can I do? We onboarded this brand like 2 days ago, I think. I just played that podcast on the headphones before I was going to sleep, and just like absorbing the knowledge, absorbing the information. The next day, like I was kind of writing down some notes. I was getting some ad ideas just because I absorbed that knowledge. Okay, so like that's step two, like actually studying and actually getting very, very knowledgeable around what you're selling, who are you selling it to. Okay, and then from there, obviously getting the ad ideas by doing research, and then like we also have like some detailed processes for script writing and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say like number one thing when it comes to making unaware ads is actually becoming knowledgeable on the topic, because then you can find these ways, you can find these stories, you can find these like patterns, and you identify opportunities to sell the product in a way that others don't do it. Okay, a lot of guys just like copy frameworks, copy like formats, whatever you want to call it, you know, three reasons why, 5 reasons why, whatever the fuck. And that's just like very surface level advertising, very surface level marketing. And, you know, a lot of people think they're cooking with that, but, you know, it's just barely scratching the surface.
Yeah. And I think something that, I mean, that was far, but one thing I want to call out that you kind of got to there is like the word that I would use is you're an authority. Yeah. And I think that's something where most people think, I mean, obviously having an authority in your ad helps, right? Like everybody knows that if you have a dermatologist talking about skincare, or a doctor talking about a health product, or a professional athlete talking about a supplement, like that guy is, or that girl is an authority. But you don't have to, like, for example, technically, we're like, even you, for example, like you're an authority, if we were just use this random example, on unaware ads, right? It's like you're saying things to people that make sense, and now they see you as an authority. You don't have any, like, it's not like unaware ads is you're not like a doctor of unaware ads or something like that. But the point is like people now look to you as an authority, right? Yep. And so what is, I think, so crucial, and like just to double click into that point, is like a lot of the like one of the main reasons why unaware ads work is because people look to you as an authority, right? And so then when you bridge the video properly and you go from unaware, and I'm going to talk about a few other things as well, but you go from unaware to product aware, it's almost like a doctor giving you a prescription. You're just going to listen to, even if it's an AI voiceover, which most of our unaware ads are, and even then, right now we have an unaware ad that is not even a voiceover. It's just text on screen with like emotional music, but like that's it, right? And so like all of a sudden, this ad has become an authority because you've just shown a person, and most of the time educated them, which is like, that is how you position yourself as an authority, is you educate somebody else on something, and now all of a sudden you tell them to go and buy something, and they buy it because you're an authority, right? I love using the example of the doctor, because it's like, you go see the doctor, you don't ask him for his degree or his doctorate in like, or like where he studied, or like you don't check up on, like, as long as he's wearing a white coat and like you're good, you know what I mean? And he's like, take these pills, and you're for 7 days, you're like done, right? You don't even think about it, right? You just have this bias because he's an authority. And so that's almost what happens when you create unaware ads the right way. You all of a sudden are an authority, and you can only become authority, like you said, by studying your customers like crazy, constantly asking why. Even going back to the headphones point, what I love doing as well is even just like going back to the core, and we were kind of doing this yesterday on our learning call, but it's like, why do people use headphones? Like literally just being as curious as possible, and being like, well, they use them for music, or some people use them to block sound, or, you know, there's a lot of people that use them for business and meetings and stuff. So it's like just really trying to think, like, why do people use this? And then even going further, like, well, why do they do that? It's like, well, maybe they don't want sound blaring, or maybe they're, so it's like, but when you keep asking why, you start unlocking these angles. And like, I think a lot of people ask how potentially you're so creative and how you come up with these ideas, or, you know, myself, or even Shaun. It's like, we just ask why, and we just keep getting, and then like that takes us down rabbit holes. Like, allow yourself to kind of go down rabbit holes to find things. So authority, huge point that I want to double click on. The other thing that I would say is, like, when you're doing that research, you kind of talked about it, but just to blow it up even further, is stories, like finding stories. Unaware ads, you got to be a master of storytelling. That's really like the biggest thing about it. We also kind of called them like storytelling ads in a way, but when you're doing unaware, you have to leverage stories to tell it. And speaking of books, I don't know if we're going to put that part in a pod. We might just cut straight to the sauce, but we were just talking about reading books. What do books do all the time? They give you stories on story. Like, books basically, like, if they didn't use stories, every book would be like 30 pages. It would just be like sauce.
They must
stories. Yeah, literally. It's like, but stories are what, like, sometimes help it hit home for people, and also believe that it's possible, it's real, and all that kind of stuff. So being really good at storytelling and learning how to write stories, I think, is another super important thing for unaware ads. And then the other thing that I would say as well is, like, going down to the editing piece, which is kind of the next place that I want to get into, because we kind of talked a little bit more about why unaware ads work, but like the editing as well, I think, is crucial. So when you're kind of going through the editing process for unaware ads, you know, like just maybe talking about a few things, like, are you showing the product in the first clip? Like, and obviously that sounds like a dumb question to you, but you know, what are you doing on the editing side? Because obviously you manage a team of editors. You also have a massive community of editors that we're going to talk about next. But you know, what does editing these ads look like? Like, how are you going about doing that?
So when it comes to editing unaware ads, yeah, like you said, we don't show the product in the first few seconds. We don't in fact, we don't show the product up until like maybe like 40, 50 seconds in the ad, which I know like to some people may sound crazy. Okay. But we like when you can tell stories and this is like, I wouldn't necessarily say this is, you know, like the biggest lever here is the editing. It's actually like script writing and like writing good scripts and telling good stories. And when you have a good script, when you have a script that is written in a certain way to like constantly open new loops in viewers' mind, you know, get them curious, get them interested. Like when you have a script that is written in a way that the only kind of purpose of first sentence is to get them to you know, watch, read, listen, whatever. The second sentence and the only purpose of second sentence is to get them to read the third one. When you have a script like that, it allows you to be creative when you're doing editing. It allows you to just do creative stuff. Okay. And yeah, when it comes to editing, like we just like almost kind of developed this style of mini documentaries, which I like extremely enjoy watching. Me personally, and obviously a lot of people as well. And it's just
we've had times. I don't cut your flow, but we've had times where like remember we're reviewing it with Sammy or whatever. And it's like we're 40 seconds in and we're locked in. Like we're just like I can't stop watching. Like we have our team say that all the time. So keep going.
Yeah. So big part of that is editing, obviously, and editing just depends on who is your audience. So like if your audience is, I don't know, 50 plus women, then your editing needs to be slower. It needs to be easier to follow. It needs to be simpler, but still edit it in a way to make it interesting for them. So like, for example, think like you're making a History Channel documentary, but a short form. Okay, so like that's because that's the type of content that they watch and that they enjoy watching. You know, when it comes to editing like videos, it what matters the most is who you're editing it for. So like you could be editing for, you know, like women 50 plus. Okay, what's the type of content? What's the videos that they enjoy watching? So like, for example, they probably enjoy watching like documentaries on like History Channel, National Geographic, and all stuff like that. So like edit like that, you know, like study how do those documentaries look like what type of visuals do they use. They probably use like, you know, a lot of kind of old school style images, you know, like it's slightly zooming in, it's not fast paced, it's not complicated to follow, it's like simple, it's clean. And then for example, if we're targeting, I don't know, men who are like 30, like with them you probably need to be a bit more cautious of retention, and like when you're like targeting, you know, like younger demographic, it matters a lot how it's edited, and it matters what visuals you use. It needs to be clean, it needs to be fast cuts, obviously. But yeah, I think editing is there just to support the story and support the copy, not to kind of overwhelm it, if that makes sense. But yeah, editing is just like a very important piece, especially when it comes to retention. And when it comes to, you know, like actually getting people to watch the ad, to watch the video, there's like a lot of, you know, like super small things you can do when it comes to editing to like boost that and to like actually get people interested. But yeah, I think like number one thing is actually, you know, the story, because if the story is good, people are just going to stick around.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, two things to add on to that. You kind of claimed it, and I think you wrote a prompt about it as like the Mr.Beast retention method. It's like, go and study what that guy does. Like you'll notice that like when you're watching a Mr.Beast video, like you're just like, you're always like, you're just locked in, you know, it's like how I already watched 15 minutes of this. Right. And one thing that I think is like what Mr.Beast videos always have, there's always a payoff. So it's like there's always something to, you know, something big is coming. Right. And I think that is what's crucial when you're script writing specifically. So because you said how important that is, I want to talk a little bit more about script writing, and then we can move on. But the other thing I was going to say is making sure visuals are congruent. And I think you've helped train the team in a way that our editors just get that. we also made, speaking of another unaware example, because I'm sure people want to see unaware examples, and I'm going to do my best to also grab some unaware ads for you guys and maybe put a little thing at the end for you. Maybe I'll flash a link on screen at a random time. So that way you can't just go in the description. But the point is like, there's an example of a payoff. So now you're going to keep watching, But the point is like, I think we did an ad recently for one of our brands that sells something in the pet niche, and we started the video with, and I laugh about them, but it's like, it's just so good. We talked about a dog's, like, we were talking about this village in Alaska that was gonna die because they had this virus, and the closest serum, and it was a true story that, again, we found from research, the closest serum was in a village like 30 miles or 100 miles away, and the only way to get there through the blazing Alaskan winter was for a dog sled team. And we talked about how this dog sled team prevailed, and the reason why is because they used our client's product, and not actually our client's product, but a type of the client's product, right? And so the point of that is like, we were able to again see that and leverage other people's stories. And so that's what I think is so cool about unaware ads specifically, is you're almost kind of telling it, and this is kind of more going back to script writing, but you're almost telling it from a third person's perspective, or a third party person's perspective, right? Like, you're not saying, hey, this is something that happened to me. And if you do have like super sick stories, like, that can work really, really well, but not everybody has that. And so just leverage other people's stories and just retell it. Right? Like, that's literally what basically every Netflix documentary is ever. It's telling someone else's story, right? Like, if you think of like sports documentaries or, whatever it is, it's like, it's just someone else telling the story. And so if you get good at research and studying, like you talked about, and you're able to find these really interesting stories, and this is, again, like, you're not going to find a lot of these stories by researching, like, what is the best, I don't know, like, knee supplement. It's like, competitors selling knee joint pain supplements. It's like, you're not going to find that. Like, you're going to find that by looking at a story about, again, some Chinese running team that maybe had joint pain, but people thought they were doping, but their knee, I don't know, whatever it is. Like, the point is you have to, like, one of the best ways to get good at writing unaware ads is to actually, like, not write them, like, just go and look at someone else's story and let that, and just retell the story in a way that is interesting and, again, creates curiosity, and most importantly, like, builds suspense. And I think, I mean, obviously, like, you have or shout out to Kat as well, like, we have a really, really good process, I think, for writing them now. And I think what's really, really important is to see an unaware ad, look at it, understand it, and then even if you want to take that unaware ad, throw it into like a Gemini video or Google AI Studio, and basically have it analyze it and be like, hey, this is an unaware ad. Like, how would you turn this into a prompt to, so I could script one for my brand? Like, just doing even something basic like that is going to help you get started. But the thing that I want to go all the way back to that you said, and then we'll move on here, is like, this is hard, right? Like, writing an ad that is, I mean, that's basically, it's like it's full production. Like, you're trying to make ads in a way that have nothing to do with, so like, now you're not competing with just ads. You're competing with everybody making content on the internet. I mean, you already are to an extent, but it's like, now your ad has to be good enough to just get someone to stop, get someone to keep watching until we actually get to the product. But if you can do that, I mean, like, dude, we've seen hook rates of like 70%, and then like hold rates of like 40%. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's insane. And so and for those of you that don't know, hook rate is watching the first 3 seconds, hold is watching at least 15. And so my point is I think obviously editing is important, but most importantly is actually knowing what the heck is going on. So your research, and then leveraging and finding those stories, leveraging them and writing them, and basically retelling them and bridging that to the product. And I think that's something that the editing team and the scripting team do a really good job of as a final point, is that bridge is crucial, because you can lose trust right away. If you're like, here's this dog sledding team that, saved Alaska, and now you should buy our product. It's like, this is, it's not going to work. So, dude, I mean, I'm not sure if you have any other points you want to make on unaware ads specifically.
So the only part that we kind of didn't discuss is like how to actually like get the ideas. And I know we touched on it, like just by doing research, just by like being knowledgeable. But if someone thinks that I wake up and I just say, okay, today I am gonna come up with an unaware ad, for this brand. Okay, that's not how that works. Okay,
Yeah.
and I actually made a post on this on Twitter like a few weeks ago. Maybe we can put it on the screen, whatever. It talks about conscious mind and unconscious mind, and when you have a task in front of you, you set a timer, and let's say you say to yourself, okay, my job for the next 30 minutes is to come up with an unaware ad. So what's going to happen is you're going to suck. It's going to be hard. You won't have any ideas. You will have like a block, and it's going to be hard. Okay. And this is because when you're doing this, you're using your conscious mind, and your conscious mind is made to solve problems, think logically, and like connect dots logically. Okay. And that's not how you come up with creative ideas. And how you come up with creative ideas is actually through unconscious mind, so your subconscious mind. And you access that mind when you're doing like random patterns. So I'm sure this has happened to you, like probably when you're showering, you get like the sickest ideas, the sickest business ideas, the sickest ad ideas, you just get like sick ideas. This is because your mind, your conscious mind is occupied doing something that's routine. And so your unconscious mind has space to connect the dots that you basically kind of filled in when you were doing research, when you were studying, when you were kind of exploring the internet around this market, niche, product, brand, whatever. And you filled your brain with it. You just got to let it sit for a minute then. Like genuinely, just let it sit and let your subconscious, your unconscious mind do the work. And then when you get the idea, maybe you're going to be scrolling through Instagram, you'll see a sick video, and it'll be like, damn, this could be a sick concept for my brand. And then you write it down, okay? Or you'll be doing like something completely random. And trust me, like this stuff is going to start happening, like especially if you're constantly doing research. And this is like the crucial thing, like the last thing that I want to mention, I promise, is you just need to constantly be doing research, and you need to constantly be educating yourself on the market, on your customers, like identifying their behaviors, what are their beliefs, and you constantly need to be filling your conscious mind so that your unconscious mind can then use that and come up with creative ideas, okay? And these creative ideas will like most randomly come to you. Then all you have to do is write it down, and then like when you have the next 30-minute block, you kind of break it down and you think, okay, how can I actually turn this into an ad now? And like honestly, like most of the ad ideas that I get, and like the winning ads that I got, like the ideas for them like just came completely randomly because I was doing research like maybe 2 weeks ago, and like my brain kind of connected the dots, and yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of like that. Oh, that's good. Like for me, it happens like as dumb as it sounds, like when I'm reading.
Yeah,
I'm like trying to read words on the page, but my brain is just like, you ever see like the monkey like clapping the symbols? Like that's my brain, but that brain can come up with some bangers, and so it's like yeah, whatever. Showering, it's you've got to let the information marinate. I think it's an incredible point. And the only other thing I would say is like when you're doing that timer process, make sure I'm terrible at this, and I need to get so much better. I need to like lock my screen, but it's like if you're doing a task, your phone, like literally throw it out your window. Do not allow yourself to open any other tabs. Literally delete Discord, delete Slack, delete just you can only sit there and do the tasks at hand. Like you cannot do anything. I can't check your email. It's just only the task, and then you force yourself to do it. And then like you said, what I've actually found from doing that as well is like you might be bored for the first 5 minutes, and it's going to take everything in you to just try to stay focused, because we're just getting, especially if you're on short form platforms, or if you're constantly just being a dopamine fiend, it's like you're going to get distracted. You're going to want to because you're not going to get a lot of dopamine from sitting there writing. Well, I mean, some people do, but it's like you're like, I don't want to do the work, right?
Yeah.
But it's important that you push through that initial stage, and then next thing you know, you get lost in the sauce and 2 hours go by. Like I know this happens to you all the time. Like sometimes you're online until like 2 a.m. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Like you said, you can't turn your brain off. You're just going. But anyways, dude, that was awesome. I know we kind of went back to like script writing and back to now like, the creative process in general. But one thing that I want to talk about, because obviously it's been a huge initiative for us this year, is video editors and like the importance of them, and trying to pick your brain a little bit more on this, because I think from what you've seen, because we've had to stop the post, honestly, I think every single ecom brand owner, it's like video editors are like, they're like the as people say, like in America, the backbone of the nation. Like video editors are the backbone of ecom, like straight up. And so I mean, that already kind of emphasizes the importance of video editors. But from your end, like a lot of these brand owners, they struggle to find video editors, or they'll just find someone for super cheap and just like hope that they do good enough. How important is a video editor if you're an e-commerce brand owner or you're a marketer trying to advertise on Facebook? Like, can you talk a little bit more about like why are video editors so important? Why do they matter? Why do you need a good one? And we're going to go off on that, but I just want to hear from you because you obviously were a video editor. Take me through it. Like, why is it so important to have, like, can you just get away with a crappy video editor, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So yeah, video editors are probably like one of the biggest pain points right now in ecom. I think like a lot of brands are struggling to find good video editors. We struggled as well when we were scaling the agency and, scaling the pods and like, getting more clients. And it's extremely hard to find editors who not only know how to like do, good job when it comes to technical video editing. Like there's a lot of talent out there right now who know how to do video editing. It's obviously like one of the probably, biggest kind of freelancing jobs opportunities out there. Like everyone needs an editor right now online. Okay. So like a lot of people are focusing on doing the editing. And it's extremely hard to come by editors who actually understand marketing, who actually understand how to make videos that sell stuff and not just look pretty. Okay. And to touch on how important it is to have a great video editor, bro, it's everything. I am extremely grateful for the team we have at the agency. And honestly, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are right now if it weren't for our creative team, our editors. I just stand by that every single day. And it's extremely important to just have good video editors, train them, invest in them. You mentioned that, a lot of brand owners like just get cheap editors. And, I made a point on Twitter. You're relying on a cheap editor that costs you, like you pay him $5 an hour. He barely speaks English, and you're relying on that, that type of person, on that editor to make creatives for you. And you're wondering why they aren't clicking, It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like creatives are literally the most important thing when it comes to scaling a brand. So you can't be relying just on like someone random to be producing those. Okay. Like editing specifically in like ecom, in advertising, is like one of the most important pieces when it comes to, just scaling. To be honest, because like I think editing for ecom and editing for YouTube short form whatever is like a completely different game. Because like for editing for YouTube, you just gotta edit the video, okay? Like doesn't really matter. You gotta
throw some animations in there, hope like the person likes it. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, you can boost retention, but it doesn't, like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Okay, but with ecom and with ads, it matters a lot. Like the way the video is edited, like what visuals to use, like the pacing, how does the ad look like? Is it kind of speaking to the right audience? Like there's all these kind of little things that matter a lot, and all these little things kind of just combine, and kind of, it's just like very important to kind of end on that.
Honestly, just to double down on what you said about, I mean, this isn't going to apply to anybody, but like, well, maybe it will. I am so grateful for our team. Every day I'm like scared that our editors, and they know who they are. I'm just like, please don't leave. Like you guys, and like they're just savages, and like I think you have to take care of those people, because at the end of the day, like bro, you've been there, and like you've also made your way up from a video editor that we paid contracted to now a partner at the agency. And it's like, I think truly like video editors have the capability to progress into like being the savages on your team, because it's the saying I say all the time, and it's from Hermosi, but it's like your work works more on you than you work on it. And the person you become from like editing these ads, and if you're an editor that is curious, and so I want to talk a little bit more about like what makes a great video editor. I think for me, a great, like one of those things is like being curious and wanting to understand why things work. And that's something to give like some people some sauce. Like we now bring our, like some people treat editors like they're just like I don't get it. They're just like,
it pains
hey,
me.
do this shit. Yeah, it's like, just here's the script and do it. And what the hell, bro? This is not even close. Like, you screwed up. Redo and it's just like they treat them like shit. And it's like, dude, like these people put the final touches on your, like they make your creatives. Like a lot of these guys also, it's so funny. Like you see some of these eCom bros, and it's like they treat their video editor like shit. And the video editor finally has enough and just leaves, and then their whole business is screwed. They're like, well, I don't have any. I can't make. Like I don't know how to video edit. You know what I mean? And then they rush hire somebody who's crap, and all of a sudden, oh, bro, my brand's not scaling. It's like, well, yeah, because
it's a
your
spiral.
video editor. Yeah, it's a spiral. And so I think one of the things that we've done recently is we've brought our video editors onto the strategy calls and onto the learning calls, and like they don't say much, but like they're just absorbing like all of the information, all of the strategy. And now it's like when they're making, it's like almost doing the research in a way. It's like it's so hard to script write if you haven't done any research. Same thing I think with video editors. Like it's so hard to edit the video if you don't know the strategy. And it's the number one thing I tell people in Evolve. I'm like, bring your video editors on your strategy calls, and if it's just you and a video editor, have a strategy call with him. Because if he understands now, for example, if our video editors are probably going to watch this, right? If they understand how we're thinking about unaware ads, how we do unaware ads, it's like now when they're making them, do you think they're going to make them better?
Yeah.
Obviously, right?
One thing I just want to touch on that is recently we started implementing in our briefs that we send to the editors. We started implementing something called strategic breakdown, and this is when we're writing scripts. We're using Claude, and we get a strategic breakdown at the end of the script. And what strategic breakdown is, it basically explains the thinking and the reasoning behind the script. And like it explains, okay, like this hook is written this way because we want to evoke these emotions in our customers. We're trying to, like tackle these beliefs that they have, in this section right here. And then we transition smoothly to this section, and it kind of just explains how the script is built. And we just added that to the briefs, and we got feedback from our editors that it's extremely helpful for them to have that, because now they know how they need to actually do the videos. So like that's like one tactical thing that you can do.
100%. That's super far. Going into, I guess, the question that I was trying to get to, me, typical yapper, what makes a great video editor? Even if somebody's maybe trying to find a video editor, or, we're going to talk about that as well, but like, what makes a great video editor?
I will say you had a very good point, just like curiosity and just striving to be better, but not being better in terms of editing smooth animations, editing, like nice. Okay, there's a place for that, but just being better in terms of results. And this is one thing that we're like obsessive about, which is results. So like,
so glad you brought this up.
When I was editing, because obviously, for those of you who don't know me, I started as an editor, like as a freelance editor, like 4 to 5 years ago. Okay, I was just like editing video gigs, freelancing. I met Spencer on Upwork, and kind of that's how the story goes. And I started by video editing ads. Okay, and when I was video editing, I wanted results, and not just like results in terms of making clients happy. I wanted my ads to print money. Okay, so like that's one thing. You need to find someone who is results obsessed, and you need to find someone who is willing to do anything to get better at what they do. And if you're struggling to get results, at least they should be learning from what they're doing. Okay, so like just like what makes a great editor? Just someone who is constantly trying to grow, constantly trying to develop, working on their skills. And not just editing skills, but like marketing skills, understanding psychology, and like how to apply that to the ads they're making. So like that's kind of, in my opinion, what makes a great editor specifically for eCom.
Yeah, completing the feedback loops as well. And like you said, I think that switch between like we had a conversation with our entire team in January where it's like doing the deliverables is not like, I'm not happy that you edited 5 ads or 10 ads this week, right?
Yeah.
Like that is just what we expect. And I think this is where it's like, speaking of like the eCom bros that are dicks to their editors, don't be a dick, but it's like have clear expectations and like have like high expectations for your team members, not like at them, but I would say like for them. It's like, I want you to be a savage. And it's like, I want you to hold yourself to a higher standard, because you shouldn't just be happy if you get 10 videos done this week. Like, you should be happy if you do 10 videos and get 2 winners. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah,
I think
but then,
changing go ahead.
yeah, then what I want to add to that, like 100% holding them to high standards, but then you have to have high standards for yourself as well.
100%.
You need to be the one who is spearheading that team. You need to be the one, if the results are shit, don't turn to your editor, don't turn to your strategist. You know, why is performance bad this week? What the fuck's going on? Like, you need to lead them. You know, you need to be the leader. You need to be the one who is responsible for your team's success, because you are. Okay, and if your team is doing bad, don't look at them. Don't go to them and ask them, you know, like, why is this so bad? You know, what's going on? Of course, you know, like, bad periods exist, but then you need to like put your ego aside, and you need to you just need to figure it out together. Okay, it's not them working for you, it's them working with you. That's like one of the biggest things that, you know, a lot of people in ecom get wrong when they're hiring. They're hiring for, like, you know, strategist. Let me hire a strategist so I don't have to do anything. Bro, when you hire a strategist, you need to work 10 times harder, because you need to be the one who is leading them, and you need to be the one who is kind of providing them with resources. You need to train them. You need to make sure they're getting better, and you need to do everything you can to help them succeed. So you're working towards the goal together. You don't hire them to, like, you know, do whatever, you know, instead of you, if that makes sense.
Solutions over problems 100%. And I think that's one thing that I think our whole team appreciates, is the fact that it's like, okay, well, we know this is not working. What, like, rather than like complaining about it or being like, oh, it's your fault or that, but like, everybody takes ownership, and it's like, what can we do about it? What can we do differently? And I think that's really important. I'm glad that you doubled down on that. I think the final point that I was just going to finish with there is the fact that it's about having a winning mindset around this. And I think a lot of editors are just trying to get the job done, rather than I'd rather see an editor make 5 videos a week with them being the best ads he could possibly make, or she could possibly make, compared to just doing 10 because we need to do volume, right? And that's something that we battle with as well, and we could probably talk a lot more about. But I want to talk about, if someone is watching this and they maybe have video editors or a video editor, what, like, and this is not even me trying to show, but it's like, what you have created with eCom talent, I think, is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Because not only and to be honest, like, if we're going to talk about, like, if you're a YouTube video editor, why you should probably pivot, and hopefully my YouTube video editors don't abandon me on this, but it's like, the point is like, there is such a huge opportunity between what we have going on with Evolve and what you have going on with eCom talent. And so I want to just give you the opportunity to talk about eCom talent, explain what it is for people who have no idea what it is, and maybe talk a little bit more about what is going on there.
Okay, so eCom talent was originally me getting pissed off because we were struggling to hire good video editors. It was like just a very painful process. Like I mentioned before, we started scaling the agency, getting more clients. We needed more kind of people in the creative team to support that, specifically video editors. We started hiring. It was painful, which I'm sure, like, if you're an ecom, you're running an agency, you're running a brand, you probably understand this pain point of, like, not being able to hire good editors. It's just a thing. So you have kind of 2 options. You either kind of hire someone who's mid, you train him up, or you just, like, poach someone from, like, you know, existing team or something. And that was like a huge pain point. And I got so pissed off at it because we just couldn't hire anyone. And obviously, I had a very high standards because I come from a video editing background myself. So I know exactly what we need, and I know exactly what we're looking for. And we couldn't find it. So I just decided, okay, you know, fuck this. We're not going to hire. Let me just work on a course, and let me just work on a training that's so detailed, that's so in-depth, that whoever goes through it, whether they're a beginner editor, like a complete beginner in the online freelancing world, whatever, they go through it, and by the end, they should be able to start producing ads that look decent. Okay, and with time and with, you know, being inside the community, they just get better and better. So like eCom Talent is basically a place to train people. They don't have to necessarily be video editors. Like it can be for beginners, it can be for anyone, on how to make ads for e-commerce brands. So like it's a very niche thing. It's a very specific thing, but there's a huge demand for it right now.
Demand is ridiculously high.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. but basically, Ecom Talent just training like a course and a community on how to make ads, how to start selling stuff online. Okay, and it's specifically focused on producing the creative assets to make that happen, basically. So that's what it is. We have around, like, I think it's around 150 people inside right now, and there's basically kind of different groups of people who join, which is quite interesting. So originally, Ecom Talent was made for video editors, like video editors who already have some technical knowledge of editing, and they just want to, kind of add marketing on top of that. So that was kind of the whole idea. Then like complete beginners started joining, just like people who want to make money online. They are doing well. And then actually like brand owners, like who are kind of solopreneuring, kind of solo brand scaling, whatever, they started joining, and it helped them a ton when it comes to creatives. And I've got like amazing feedback from them. And for example, I think 2 or 3 guys in the community. So they wanted to get into ecom. They were kind of they wanted to start doing drop shipping. They wanted to start running their own brand. One of the guys joined, and he was actually working 9 to 5. And I'm like, he was working 9 to 5. He was kind of doing drop shipping, and he couldn't figure it out. He was kind of burning money on ads, and it was tough. And I was like, bro, why are you working 9 to 5 when you could literally learn how to make ads, like learn how to make video editing, like creatives for other brands, quit your 9 to 5, get hired by someone in Ecom Talent, start working with them as their editor, as their strategist, and like just get in the space like that. You'll start stacking cash, and then later on you can do whatever you want. You can be a strategist for other brands. You can run up your own brand. He did it, and like within a month, he quit his 9 to 5, and now he's working with multiple brands, I think. But yeah, it's just like it's going super well right now. I think it's like the community is live for 3 months now, and I'm super grateful for everyone inside, and it's been very good so far. Yeah.
And I think, there's so much I want to talk about this, because it's also, I don't think you touched on this, but it's a marketplace, and it's just a win-win for literally everybody. Because you have 2 sides now. You have Ecom Talent, which is, literally anyone could buy it. So it's like, technically, if you're a brand owner that wants to invest in your team, literally pay for it and give it to your editor, and all of a sudden now your editor is an absolute savage. And this is also something on a side point, like if you're not willing to invest in your team, like it's probably not the right team member. And then on the other side, you also have Ecom Talent for brands, which is where people can join. They also get access to you, which is, I'm like, no. I was like, Karlo's too valuable. But no, obviously, on a serious note, it's like they can get access to you, but then they also get the ability to hire from it. So it's like, it's a marketplace and that's what we've actually done this year, is like, now, whenever we need a video editor, it's like, well, hey, who wants to come work with Karlo? And everybody's like, me. Like everybody's like, please, like Karlo. And so it's like, now we have all these people that are not only like trained on what we're doing. It's just, to me, it's like, I don't know how. Well, I do know how, but it's like, I think this is where everything is going towards, which is like community. And we've talked a lot about this, but like you're the first person that's actually, I think, done this for like, with the intent of like contributing to the agency and building the agency to what we're trying to build it towards. But the point is, I think with Ecom Talent specifically, if you're an editor, it's honestly, to me, like, you're insane to not be in there. And I'm not just saying that because of the fact that we need more editors, but genuinely, like, and I can say this, I never make guarantees. I never do. And people who know me, and you know me, Karlo, it's like, it's very rare I guarantee anything. If you're a video editor and you are wanting to become better at what you do, and then you genuinely, like, if you join Ecom Talent and you go through the program and you actually apply it, it's physically impossible for you to not make more money. Like literally impossible. And for people that don't have context, and if you're an editor watching this, like the amount of we had to shut off, because obviously we have Evolve where there's a ton of brand owners. We had to stop, like Evolvers had the ability to hire. We had to stop that because there was such an overwhelming demand for video editors. Like we did not have enough editors, right? Like there are people, and maybe you want to share some numbers, but like editors are literally coming in and, like you said, quitting their 9 to 5 and making more than like some people make in corporate jobs, and they're just editing videos, right? People go to school for 8 years, and there's some video editor that learned video editing 2 months later with the program and now making a corporate salary. Like it's ridiculous. And so yeah, literally. And so I mean, I'm not sure if you want to share more about like the editor side specifically, or if you want to talk more about the brand side specifically, but I just feel like if you're an editor that's doing even like clipping on Whop, and like we're gonna talk about something cool that we're doing with bounties. Yeah. But like rather than clipping on Whop and like getting paid pennies, it's like look like a lot of these short form editors, and maybe you agree with this, maybe you don't, but it's like, bro, if you know how to make videos go viral, like dude, you're going to crush it with ads. Yeah, exactly. Like if you actually like, but coming in and taking your ability to like grab attention, which is like what a lot of these clippers do, and then learning marketing fundamentals and merging the two, like
and making ads.
Yeah, like come on, man. Like you, and we actually have this one guy, a client at the agency. You know who he is, and it's like he scaled his brand. Like from 0 to, I think he started this year. He's doing like 600K a month at like a 10x ROAS right now. Like it's ridiculous. And he just, his skill set is organic content. Like he just knows how to make content that goes viral. We brought him into Evolve, showed him Evolve, and then like took over his media buying, and the business just exploded. And so it's like having that organic skill set with the skill set that you teach in eCom talent, I think is like literally like I mean, like look where you're at now, man. Like I'm not gonna share numbers how you're, but like dude, you are fucking killing it. Like you're smashing it right now, and it's so cool to see, because it's like dude, a year ago you were still editing videos, you know what I mean? And so it's like how fast shit can change. And I think this skill set that you develop from actually being a video editor, like genuinely, I would honestly say that if I was starting today, I had no money, broke as a joke, like going back and looking at where I would be, I would probably want to become a video editor skill set, because like the shit that you'll learn how to actually make great ads. And you see script rating, you learn the actual process a lot of times of media buying, because you're looking at your ads and tracking your data and the accounts and whatnot. It's like that skill set of learning how to make ads, you'll never go hungry, because like that's all brands need all the time. 100%. And I could rant about this forever, but my point is like, is there anything else about eCom talent, or do you want to jump into bounties? Because I think what we're doing with bounties is sick.
Yeah, I mean, eCom talent, I think you kind of nailed it down there. You know, just like if you're a video editor, and I've been yapping about this on Twitter for since the start of the year when I decided to like launch this. I kind of rebranded my profile into, you know, talking to editors and stuff. And if you're a video editor right now, it's just a no-brainer to join, simply because there's an overwhelming demand for video editors in eCom niche. Okay, and I have a list in my notes of like probably 30 plus brand owners who are DMing me they need to hire editors, and I had to cut that off because I don't have enough talent in eCom talent. I don't have enough editors to be able to support the demand of brand owners that need to hire. Okay, so like this is what you could be getting into. Okay, and I don't want to shill it. Like, never once did I, shill, make guarantees for the course or anything. I have a bunch of testimonials. You can check it on the Whop, whatever, of people who like genuinely got in. 2 weeks later, they were dropping everything they were doing before, and they went full into eCom. So like that's what can happen in eCom talent if you're an editor or even a beginner, or even if you're doing dropshipping, if you're a beginner in dropshipping and you maybe don't have enough cash, maybe you're working 9 to 5, it's just a no-brainer to get inside, start learning how to make creatives, how to make ads, start kind of building your career like that, and then just do whatever you want after that. But yeah.
And what I would say, because I know there's maybe more brand owners on my side, is like, if you're a brand owner and you have video editors and you've got a dude that's like, or you got a girl that is doing well, or like, you just, even if you just have a video editor period, like go and get this for them. I'm telling you guys, like, this is, it's like more high production than a lot of Evolve. Like I remember when you were making the program, I was like, dude, chill out a little bit, man. Like, God, you're making me feel like shit. So like it's just a no-brainer for anybody that has video editors, works with video editors, wants to be a video editor, is currently a video editor. Like I'm again, this has turned into a bit of a show, but I'm telling you guys, like it is the most valuable thing that I've ever seen, and I genuinely will stand by that and stamp my name on it. And I think it's just a no-brainer, and something that I want to transition to as well, that now we're doing as an agency. And if you're someone that maybe wants to try to get access to this stuff as well, because we're kind of getting through the beta testing period, is this cool bounty system that you've came up with. And I think this is like EndGame, especially as we start building up and having equity in brands, and the amount of volume. It's almost like, people have heard me talk about volume with TikTok shop. We're almost kind of trying to create like our own TikTok shop. Like I don't even know how to explain it. Karlo, what are bounties? What is the system, and what are we doing over there?
Okay, so Ad Bounties is probably like one of the most exciting things when it comes to eCom talent. Like that was my goal when I actually made it, because obviously you join eCom talent as an editor, you go through course, you have action items inside, so you can actually practice making ads. Okay, so you can build your portfolio, whatever, and then you have like Ad Bounties, which is so like for a number of brands that we're working with at the agency. I basically made like a big brief, like about the brand, what the brand is, what's the product. I kind of collected all the content that we have for that brand. I kind of showed, what are some ads that are working for that brand right now and stuff like that. And kind of made that into like a big brief. Okay. And what Ad Bounties are, anyone inside the community can go and make an ad for that brand. So like, anyone, even if you joined like 2 days ago, even if you joined like a week ago, you can make ads for that brand. We then take a look at those ads, and you get feedback on it, which is like one like insane thing. So like you get feedback on it. We launch those ads, so we actually put money behind them. We test the ads, and then when we test them, you get a report back of how did your ads do. Did they make any money? Did they not make any money? And the final piece is you actually get paid percentage of revenue your ads generate, which is unheard of. Like this doesn't exist anywhere. This is what I kind of have in eCom Talent when I was kind of explaining this to everyone in a video. Like this does not exist anywhere. So you have the ability to make one ad for a brand. It starts ripping, it turns into a winning ad, and you get paid percent of revenue on that ad for as long as it's running. So you could be making passive income from one single ad that you do, and nothing's stopping you from making tens of them every single week. Okay, so like it's just an insane opportunity, and it's not even like I wouldn't even say like that the biggest opportunity is making money from it. It's like just becoming better and training. And just getting feedback from me, from our team, and seeing how your ads perform. Exactly. And the ad account, yeah. And like once the ads start performing, you get a report back at the end of the month. You see how your ads did. You can add it to your portfolio. You can add. Okay, you can add to your portfolio. I made these ads for this brand. Here's here's a screenshot from the ad account. Here's like a HR report on how these ads did, and no one can take that from you. Okay, so like again, this just doesn't exist anywhere else. And it's a concept that, I kind of came up with when I was trying to figure out what are some opportunities that I can give to people within this community. How can I cultivate this community and like just provide as much value for both sides, so both brands and the like people inside the community. And this is just a no-brainer because for the brand side, you can get insane volume of creatives.
Tons of free ads.
For zero. You only pay if the ads work. And like, show me one brand owner who wouldn't want that. It's just like, it's a no-brainer for both sides, which is just, like I shared this with a few people, before I kind of rolled it out, before I started working on it. And everyone was like, dude, this is incredible, which it is. And yeah, like Spencer said, we're now beta testing it, for two of our brands at the agency. I think one of them, I'm not 100% sure, but I think we spent over 20K on bounties this month.
Yeah. Which is hilarious.
Crazy. Yeah.
So, I mean, that to me, I think as well is something that we're pushing, I think, full gas on that. And that's obviously why it's like now trying to even just get word out about this to editors and even to brands. It's like, like you said, I don't know a single brand owner who wouldn't just want to get free ad creatives, right? And like, here's the thing that's dope about it. You don't need to send them a product. And you don't really need to do anything other than just say like, hey, here's my brand. And it's like, are you going to get some shit ads? Of course. It's like there's people learning new shit. But it's like a lot of the times that from what we've seen, it's like we told and we have 2 clients that they're just dope to work with. They're like, we don't give 2 you-know-whats. like, just run them. And a lot of the times these ads where it's like they're super ugly, you're like, oh, this is working? Like, okay, dope. And then what's cool about this too is just I love Meta's been preaching this, by the way, and I say this to all the brands that I reach out to, on the side that are, probably running 400, 500 ads, active in their Facebook library is Meta preaches creative diversity. Someone coming in who's not part of your central creative team, or if you're a bigger brand that has an agency and they're just like throwing in random ideas and random things, because like whenever someone sees a product, their brain goes somewhere, right? And so I think that in itself, like the diversity that you can get, the creatives themselves, it's like you said, there's nowhere else where like you can just basically sign up and have like ads coming towards you. And that is like, I think our end game of what we're going to try to do for our brands, but also for the people that are a part of this. And, I think this is just something that once it picks up and once it starts snowballing, it's going to be so sick, man. So I'm pumped about that. I wanted to talk about that. I think, because as we're getting over like an hour plus yap session here, I think the final few things I wanted to chat to you about something recent that we started talking about it. Obviously, I'm going to call her out. Big shout out to Sarah, Sarah Levenger. She's on Twitter. She also she has an agency that does a lot more like deep dive analysis on customer behavior and whatnot, because that is something that we've started getting really big into. And I know you've been nerding out a ton on this recently, and it's actually led to winning ads for multiple brands. And I think it's just been something that I haven't really been talking about, except for like the people that are involved. But what are some of those like buyer psychology things that we've learned recently, and what are some things that are really exciting? Obviously, there's one in particular that I'm talking about with that chart. If you want to talk about it, but also just anything in general, because I think as a final point, something that like what makes a great advertiser, I think, is just like understanding people. And I use the analogy all the time, and I'll bring this back of like, I think a great marketer, someone who knows how to make ads, will be able to outscale a media buyer. And now I'm starting to create this new belief of like someone who really understands people and is like a buyer psychologist expert will be able to beat out a marketer. But I want to talk more about that. Maybe again, talk about that chart, talk about some of the things that you've been learning recently and that we've been applying around buyer psychology. Yeah.
I mean, around buyer psychology, like it's just very interesting. And this is something like I recently enjoy watching Rory Sutherland. Maybe some of you guys have heard of him. Maybe some of you guys haven't. Just do research on Rory Sutherland. Watch some of his content. Like, incredible marketer. It's just being curious, to be honest. It's just being curious about how do people behave. Like, what beliefs do they have? Like,
why do they have those beliefs?
Why do they have those beliefs? How do they make decisions? How can you use those beliefs to make them believe something different? And like honestly, the stuff with psychology and with like just beliefs and stuff like that, it's almost like a double-edged sword, because you can actually use that stuff to manipulate people, which is like
100%.
Maybe like that's a completely different topic, but like advertising is kind of almost crossing the line of manipulating people. And if you truly want, if you have this skill, if you possess this skill of kind of convincing someone to doing whatever you want, it's just a scary thing to think about. But
I mean,
we're not.
But like at the core, that's what marketing is. It's like
you're
telling someone, hey, buy my stuff. It's like you're getting them to do what you want them to do. Continue though.
Yeah. I don't want to get into that, but like, just kind of getting very
don't use this to start any cults. Don't do some sus shit. But okay, go ahead.
Pretty much. But yeah, kind of getting very deep into beliefs that people have, into like emotions, like what type of messaging do they resonate with, and like huge shout out, like you said, to Sarah. She kind of introduced us to this, and like I've been nerding out on it ever since. And it's like extremely interesting. Which is kind of a Valence Intensity Chart. Maybe we can add it on the screen so people have context.
Pop up on the screen, yeah.
Yeah, so people have context what we're talking about. But basically, there are multiple ways how you can say stuff to people. And one kind of analogy that I can kind of talk about that's probably going to explain it well is, imagine you're arguing with your girl. Okay, I know this could be a touchy topic, but imagine you're arguing with your girl and you just want to kind of, get her to believe something that you believe. There are multiple ways how you can do that. You can either do it, straight up, say how you mean it, say how you feel it, and then like nine out of 10 times she's probably gonna get pissed. Okay, and then you can take a different approach, and you can like actually agree with her, find a common ground, like be a bit more understandable. And that's probably a better approach, okay? But your end goal is still the exact same thing. You still want the outcome of her agreeing with you. There are multiple ways how you can do that. And again, like this can be used to manipulate people. But it's the exact same thing in marketing. Like you're selling a product that solves a certain problem. There are multiple ways how you can communicate that to people. And valence intensity is, so like valence is, the higher the valence, the happier the emotions, like positivity, like feeling good, stuff like that. Lower valence is, like negativity, like depression, feeling bad, that type of stuff. And then intensity is just like how intense you want to be about communicating that. It's like very simple. And like I will say, like 90% of marketing online sits in the bottom right. I'm not sure which. I think that's zone 4. I think 90% of marketing sits there. Because it's just like, oh, you have this problem, it sucks, like it's gonna happen, like you're gonna have these problems, like just like talking about the problem, twisting the knife, and then presenting the solution. Okay, so like that's 90% of the marketing. But what if instead of you talking about the problem, what if you show them the ideal life? What if you show them someone who had the same problem, they overcame it, they're now living a happy life, they're positive? What if maybe that's something that people would resonate with more? I know, like, for example, I was talking to the guy last week, and he's selling to menopausal women. Okay, and he was kind of talking about how all of his ads are kind of explaining how it's a tough period, like whatever, this happens to your body, whatever, and it was just like very negative. And I'm like, dude, these women like are probably aware of that, and they know it sucks. It's already hard enough for them. You don't need to twist the knife and make it harder. Like if you just like relate with them, and if you just like make them feel heard, make them feel understood, that's how you're gonna get their emotional side, and that's how you're gonna get them to believe what you have to say, not by aggravating them even more. So like, just kind of to sum that up, there are multiple ways how you can communicate the same thing, and the depth you can go in that is incredible. And this was just like introduced to us by Sarah, and yeah, like the depth you can go with this stuff is incredible. We thought we were going deep, but we weren't.
Yeah. And something that's really cool that she showed us as well is take your headline, like whatever your headline is on your landing page or the hook in your ad, and go to ChatGPT or Claude and say like, hey, where is this on the valence intensity scale? And it'll actually tell you. It'll say like, oh, this is low valence, low intensity, which is like, for most people, like that's just, it's boring, right? It's boring. It's whatever, right? And what we found, I think, to go off of that is to finish the point, then ask ChatGPT after it identifies your zone to give you the rest of the zones. So go low valence, high intensity, and then go low intensity, high valence, and high intensity, high valence. And so there's, think of it as like a chart like this. You guys probably saw this chart, we probably on the screen, but it's like have ChatGPT or Claude give you a headline or multiple hooks for each zone. And what's really, really cool is, like you said, you're saying the same thing. It's just how it makes you feel is completely different. different. And so that is like, we always talk about making ads that make people feel something. When she talked about that, I was like, boom. I was like, light bulb is like, like, you know, I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense. And so, like I said, we started testing this, and like what we found recently is like, you definitely want to be more on the higher intensity scale. Right.
Yeah, definitely.
I think anytime your ads fall into like the low intensity scale, it's like, it's just not moving enough. You know, if you really want someone to move, it's like either show them like peak dopamine, or I'm not. And this is where like you'll notice a lot of marketing kind of falls in the high intensity, low valence zone, which can also be known as like fear mongering. And this, I don't want this to turn into like a sus podcast. Like, don't be a piece of shit. But like the point is like, if it is moving enough where it's like, hey, like, you should probably do something about this problem. Like, there's probably some urgency here. And for a lot of our clients, it's like, that is where we are on the scale. I'd say, again, not being a piece of shit, but like a lot of it is in like this zone of like, hey, if you keep doing this thing, or like, hey, this is actually like worse than you think it is. Like, and it actually is, because we actually have clients that solve real problems and help real people. A lot of times, like, that is just going to be more moving. Now, again, there are like, I think a lot of marketing, like we talked about, can get very like on the side of unethical. But again, if you are focused on not being a piece of shit, it's like that valence intensity scale is something that I think for us has unlocked ads that are now spending, you know, multiple thousands of dollars a day. Right. And so I think this is something that I'd recommend every single brand owner, if you made it this long, it's like, jump on that scale, figure out like where on that scale, what type of messaging is working well. And then that just gives you, again, talking about compounding learnings and completing feedback loops. It's like, okay, for example, if we notice that showing the dream outcome, like you said, for that example of like high valence, high intensity, making people like really like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I want.
Yep.
Apply that to your other hooks, right? Make sure that the hooks that you're writing actually fall in that category. Because if that is working, like, dude, that's huge. And I think a lot of the times too, I was just talking to someone on Evolver about this yesterday, where it's like our brains want something structural. Like, we want something that's like, it has to be this hook, or it has to be this visual hook, or like this clip that's making the ad work, right? But a lot of the times it's not like just one structural piece. It's usually just like it all working together, which then goes to how it makes them feel. And so that's why when we came across this scale, I thought it was so sick to go through it, because it's like, well, if we see a pattern of that, when we make someone feel a certain way, they take the action, they buy the product that we want them to buy. That is like, for me, is like, I'm math brain. I'm like, that's a formula that I can like put inputs in and get outputs on. And so I just think this is something that I wanted to jam and I want to talk about, because I think it's so dope. It's so cool to like really dive deeper into it. And like I said, I mean, I think any spare time we have, we're kind of digging into this stuff. Maybe we need to do a deep research prompt on it and turn it into a podcast.
Definitely.
That should be something that we get going. But I mean, the only other thing, and I know people are going to ask about this, and you know, we've kind of been all over the map here, and you know, screw it, whatever. It's been an hour 20. Anything you want to talk about with AI? I had some questions on here, but I mean, maybe just what you're looking forward to, how you're using AI. We've already kind of talked a lot about how we're using it. I guess maybe if there's a question like, what are you looking forward to AI? Like, is there anything that you're excited about, or anything that you've seen cool for the people that have stayed this long, and you know, they're probably AI nerds? What's happening with AI?
What's happening with AI is a lot of people is using it wrong. That's what's happening, in my opinion. A lot of people are using AI to replace their decision making, this is really the reason why we still haven't really fully switched to like automating stuff and like end-to-end workflows and like all this kind of stuff that everyone else is focusing on right now. And what we're actually doing is kind of combining marketing knowledge, marketing fundamentals, bar psychology, with a little bit of prompting and a little bit of AI. Nothing crazy, custom projects in Claude, very detailed prompts, and we're just like using our brain together with AI, and that's kind of the workflow that we have right now. We're not focusing on automating everything. We're not focusing on like AI helping us a ton with, you know, coming up with ad ideas or stuff like that. Like, we are still doing a lot of things manually, and I think this is I think this is where, you know, marketing is going. And like, for example, I would be very interested in what Rory Sutherland has to say, you know, about AI. I don't think he spoke about it yet, but
I heard him speak once. I heard him say something.
Yeah, but what I think is gonna happen is like the only kind of thing that's gonna distinguish a good marketer from a bad one is their expertise and their experience. And obviously, I know you talk about this a lot. Is you can't effectively use AI as a marketer if you don't understand marketing yourself. Like it's impossible. Like I will use the exact same AI system, and then like a beginner who just got into marketing a week ago is going to use the exact same AI system, and the outputs are just going to be a lot different. Okay, so like that's just like one thing that I want to kind of mention when it comes to AI is use it, but don't let it make decisions for you. That's just like one thing I would like to say. And then where I think AI is going, this could be a prediction. Okay, I'm officially calling this out.
Hot take.
Yeah, a hot take, a hot take. Like a year from now, maybe a year and a half, like a marketing team will consist of one marketing expert and a bunch of AI agents under it. And this is actually what I'm kind of preparing students and preparing people in ecom talent for. Is you will have a marketing expert at the top, then underneath you will have a script writing agent, you will have a video editing agent or a graphic design agent, you will have a media buying agent, you will have a learnings agent who's going to close the feedback loop, and you'll just have one person who's kind of managing all of that, okay? But it's essential and it's very important for that person at the top to be knowledgeable around every single step. So like they have to be knowledgeable when it comes to marketing fundamentals, when it comes to psychology, when it comes to like understanding what actually like how the good ads look like. They need to be knowledgeable when it comes to technical stuff, when it comes to video editing, when it comes to graphic design. They should have some technical knowledge. They should be in the trenches. They should know how to edit. They should know, how to actually make ads, because then they will be able to effectively prompt and use AI agents. Because if you're a video editor watching this, AI agents are coming. Okay, like graphic designers are pretty much cooked already, because there are like agents that can do graphic design even now. And I don't think we're there yet. But like this definitely and 100% is going to happen, So like you just need to kind of have all this knowledge and have all this kind of experience when it comes to marketing and when it comes to actually editing and actually making the ads yourself, so you can effectively use that system below you of like multiple AI agents. So like that's what I think is going to happen.
100%. I would agree, and I think the only other thing that I would add is that right now the biggest, like I had there was a guy who did a talk in Mexico a couple of weeks ago. It's like AI really just like all it does is it just raises the floor. It's like, okay, now it's like if you're a really bad script writer, it's like generic AI. If you just go into ChatGPT and you don't know how to use it, it's like it's gonna probably write a little bit better. Or for example, if someone just asks you know how to write English at all, it's like they could still go into ChatGPT and like have something written in English. But I think where, like you said, the huge gap is, and I love this because I remember when I first saw AI, I was like, there's no skill gap. But now, as I've learned more about it, there is a massive skill gap and so I think anybody, whenever they're looking for AI, they're looking for like, what's the next tool? It's like there's going to be 100 tools that come, but it's like actually understanding, and I think big shout out to Alex as well, Alex Cooper, context. Actually being able to tell the AI, this is what's good, right? Like if you give an AI 50 ads that have spent $30,000 a day, and you give that to the AI and say like, hey, here's literal perfection, here's my brand, write ads like that, like
here's why it works.
Yeah, and that's the final thing I was going to say. Where the skill gap comes in is then being able to know whether or not the output was actually good, right? Yeah. And it's like that takes time, and you have to have that skill set of becoming a marketer, because what, again, AI will do is it's going to multiply, and I've said this multiple times, it multiplies whatever base skill level you're at, right? So like if you're a bad copywriter or like you're a mediocre writer, AI is just going to multiply mediocre. But like if you're an insane script writer and you're really, really good at making ads, that's just going to multiply that. And so that's where it's like the gap, that comes in from the people that actually know their shit. that then leverage AI and know also how to use AI, it's like, dude, there's going to be a period of time where, oh my goodness, man, you are going to be able to, like, you're going to see, final point, talking to a guy yesterday, I don't even know if he wants me to say this, but he's working with a company right now. It's a year old. They're on track to do $80 million this year. $80 million in a year. Like, what? Like, it's just like, if you are a savage, and that's where I was like, I think that the end all of this, whenever we talk to AI or talk about AI, it's like, again, we look for all these tools a lot, but it's like, AI is still reliant on the input that you give it and the information that you give it. Otherwise, it's just generic. And so I think the more of a savage that you can become, investing in yourself, becoming better, learning how to become a marketer, which is, again, the first thing in ecom talent is not, here's how to use, Adobe Studio or CapCut. It's, you need to know this shit right here. Like,
it's fundamentals.
Here's the fundamental. Here's why people buy things. You know what I'm saying? So it's like understanding that stuff is crucial. But dude, that was awesome, man. There's not many guys that I love chatting with more than you, to be honest with you. I'd maybe say Shaun, but Shaun is a man of few words. You actually like to go on some tangents. Shaun gives me one word answers. He's the guy that texts K when you send him a long message. That's Shaun. But anyway, no, man. I love having these chats. I thought it was cool to just kind of dive a little bit deeper into what you've been doing, because I think honestly, what I love most about what you do, man, is like you just get locked in and like you're just in the, I don't want to say trenches, but like you're just in it, bro. Like, and that is where all the growth happens. And I think that a lot of people get out of that. I was actually chatting to like a really big brand last week, and maybe they're watching this, I don't know. They actually were saying how like they miss being kind of like super in the weeds with shit, and like it's hard for them to do that now at their scale and just the responsibilities that they have. And so that's what I love so much about what you're doing, man, and what we're doing. Like we're just able to have our nose to the grindstone, and that is where like I think real growth and real expertise comes from. And so being able to bring you on and chat about this stuff and share it with everybody else, it's like, dude, it's beyond valuable, and all of the gems that you share are, I know are going to impact and help a lot of people. So, anything else, man?
Yeah, I mean, obviously appreciate you having me. I hope, this is going to become a series of just us yapping for an hour and a half about random stuff. Who knows? But yeah, appreciate you having me on. It was nice chatting to you. And I will say, like, a final point, I don't even like, I don't see us as an experts. I don't see us as someone who, obviously we are, I would say, pretty good at what we do.
We're less shit.
Yeah, less shit. But, we've been doing this for a few years now, and we don't have this mindset of, okay, this is it. This is the final step. Like we're constantly trying to improve. We're constantly trying to get better. We're constantly trying to educate ourselves, find new ways to do things, like look at others' perspectives and like try to get better by doing that. And it's just a constant pursuit. And I think at a certain point, you just have to love it. You just have to love the grind and have to love, what you're doing. And the quote from Naval that he said in a recent podcast with Chris Williamson, he said something about, I can't remember the exact same quote now, but it was, you need to find something that feels like play to you, but looks like work to others. And I think honestly, there's just like no better, way to kind of end our conversation. Like all of this that we've been kind of chatting about for an hour and a half, it's just play to us. And it's just like, it's just interesting to us. And it's just, just feels interesting and it feels easy, but it's not. It's very interesting.
Yeah, 100%. And I appreciate you mentioning that as well, because it's not, but the expert's point, because white belt mentality is, I think, the most important thing. But I think when you look at someone who spends as much time as you on the craft, it's like a lot of people look to you. And again, the coolest part about it is like, dude, we'll go and talk to somebody that, is not even at, and I hate using the word levels, but it's like they've, maybe only been doing this for a year, where we've been doing it for 4. It's like, and they're still like, we're looking like, what can we learn from them? And at the end of the day, I just think, we're on the track to becoming experts. But I think most people never, like, you never really become an expert. At least it doesn't, like, I don't feel like that. It's just like, like you said, we're just constantly growing. We're just constantly learning new things, applying, see if it works, and then sharing what works. And, you know, maybe we need to share more of what doesn't work, because for all the stuff that we figured out that works, there's a graveyard of things that we've done that have been tragic. But it's like, that's just part of it. And like you said, play is the most important thing. So I couldn't agree more with that. And shout out to Naval. He's somebody that I think we both really look up to. And I think having the ability to do what we do every day is like, I'm super grateful for that. And find your play is what we can leave it on. But with that said, man, thank you again for jumping on. I hope everybody watching got value. I'm sure that they did. And I'm sure there'll be another Yap Sesh coming up, hopefully in person soon.
Yeah,
maybe
hopefully.
maybe in somewhere where there's white buildings and nice oceans.
We'll see.
You have to twist my arm for that one, bro. All right.
We'll see.